Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Hearthstone. So, we have one quest here that we need to turn out. Uh, it, I'm a little iffy even trading out this quest because dealing 100 damage to an enemy hero is an easy one, but it's a low paying one too. And see, that's exactly kind of what I was hoping to avoid, was training it to something that's slightly more difficult. Although playing 3,000 class cards is not that difficult either. Uh, the Tavern Brawl will be back in 18 hours, and hopefully it's not a heroic Tavern Brawl again. I was watching Crippen here. I also got to watch and learn, and I got something else too. Where Oh, I got my second recruit, so all this time now, which it hasn't been as long as you would think, somebody actually clicked on the recruit link to friend me and actually started and played to a certain level in Hearthstone. The recruit thing actually is kind of a scam, as several things are in Hearthstone, because you have to recruit a new player to Hearthstone, and they have to play to level to like level 10 or something. So they have to go through kind of 2 or 3 hours of just onboarding to actually go through all the tutorial. It's not a great setup, and after that point, you will get a uh, ooh, this is a nice. That's a nice one. So yeah, my second recruit actually made it that far, and so I got a second pack from that, which is kind of pathetic. But honestly, it's not what I'm in this for. It's like I'm not trying to run a scam to try to get people to play Hearthstone, particularly if they're not going to play Hearthstone because of that high level. Ooh, so we got a second Pyroblast. And then with a Golden Epic, we're going to be dangerously close to 1,600. See, I could create another Doomsayer for 400, or I could make a casual, a classic. I'm actually here finally. I am finally to 1,600 dust. First time in my entire career I've saved up enough. So do we want Harrison Jones? Do we want Leroy Jenkins? Is there a better classic card to play? I don't think we want him. I don't think we want that one. I don't think we want that one. The Black Knight would be a good one to have, but not as good as Leroy Jones. Yeah, Leroy Jenkins is the right one to get, I think. So now, of course, that violated my usual rule. When I disenchant a gold, I would have created a 400 dust epic in exchange for that. But we got so close there that it was worth it. It's going to be quite a long time, though, before we get all of the characters like these that are character specific in Classic, and that's just Classic. So I want to point out that I played this game called Ferraria, and I put out a special video early to see if it could beat Hearthstone. In Ferraria, there's 4 color classes of cards in neutral. So in comparison, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 types of cards in Hearthstone plus neutral, and it had this weird land manipulation thing. Let's start playing the Battlecry deck, I suppose. And it was very long, although possibly not as long a setup and a tutorial, but it took me about an hour just to get through the first little setup of Ferraria. I'm not gonna hide it one bit. The reason why I even know of it is because Total Biscuit covered it, and I put out the video intentionally as an experiment to see if maybe I would get more views because Total Biscuit was talking about it, since nobody else was really talking about it. And in the end, the answer is yes, I did get a little bit more views, but overall, it was a total and miserable failure of an experiment. Because A, I'm not going to leave Hearthstone for Ferraria. It just doesn't have as much variety as cards. It doesn't have hero powers. It doesn't have a good system to zoom in on cards a little bit more than this. And this isn't a great system either. It's not going to grow a huge player base because of the land tile mechanics, because that makes it even more complicated. And for as many flaws as Hearthstone has Blizzard behind them. And that tells me it's not going to happen. So, yeah, the just not going anywhere there. I played the game, then I immediately uninstalled it. So, but yeah, that more than just the fact that I tried a new game. It's
so many possibilities.
It's the fact that I wasted 43 minutes or well, almost an hour. I think it was 43 minutes in total playing this game, and it didn't give me a huge boost. And I've noticed that with my last two Hearthstone videos too. They really haven't gotten me a boost either. And I'm wondering, and only YouTube could tell me this, are my videos right now not getting as many views because they have content ID disputes and content ID claims? Because that number is kind of high. Is there something actually in the engine that says this channel has a bunch of these content ID matches, let's not promote their video? Or is it just that YouTube's algorithm is doing something different today? I don't know. YouTube Help has now their default ability to put text posts in the feed, and one of their things they put in, a second thing they put out was a poll asking what they wanted to see more with, and the results of the poll when I voted on it is over 60% for 5 different options wanted posts on how to get more subscribers, and I would assume that also that means how to get more views in general, because that's what we're all struggling with. For instance, Nerdist's YouTube channel just now got 2 million subscribers, and they've been running since 2007. So you're talking a major YouTube channel with the backing of Lionsgate. So there's an actual huge company funding them. It's being directed and run by Chris Hardwick. They've got a ridiculous amount of things that show up on Nerdist,
so many possibilities.
And it's just not. It's just now reaching 2 million subscribers, which I suppose when you look at it, they are almost
No.
at
Trust me.
5% of the highest person, PewDiePie. Darn it, I did that totally wrong. I totally did that wrong. Man, am I a bad player? Am I not paying attention? Oh man, that was awful. I could have played this and then put the secret for free, then played this and done 3 damage to that. That is just ridiculously terrible. Now I will say Nerdist compared to Geek and Sundry, which Chris Hardwick is also somewhat involved in, I think. At least I thought he was somewhat involved in it, or if maybe it's just that Lionsgate does that. In fact, they've even got their own thing that they're trying to do now, where they're still trying to push people into buying into a different service, kind of like YouTube Red, but not with it. And when you look at this service, is it called Vox? I don't even know. It's all Lionsgate's properties. Tested.com got bought out by this company, and a lot of different things that you wouldn't immediately realize were all kind of owned by the same parent company, or invested in at least by the same parent company. Once you see that service, it's like, oh, it really is just one company making many different channels, and then each of those channels pretending like they're moderately small operations while still being big enough to have quality. And so yeah, that sucks. And YouTube's not been working great for me. In fact, we might as well just mention it. In kind of sharp reflection, and I guess it was to be expected, all the major things: watch time, average view duration, views, and revenue. All of the major metrics are down right now. In fact, most of even the non-major things are down also.
Excuse me, you are on fire. Excuse me, you are on fire.
Which isn't great. It's not great, but still, when I look at the revenue, it's like 60 cents in the past 7 days. It is also true to say that today is Tuesday, and so whenever you start rolling into the weekend, it does look like it does look worse. Just happens. Also, there is an argument I could make that the first quarter ad revenue is always down. I've seen other channels, bigger channels, say that, where it's like, during the first quarter, the advertisers just don't buy as many ads, and therefore, while you would get the same amount of views in the first fiscal, not fiscal quarter, but just annual quarter, things will just go down, which is not a great experience either. Can I do 2 damage to everybody and freeze them, or should I do 4 damage? Let's see.
Right away. Right away.
There we go. Likes, dislikes, shares, all down. And it's not even really that surprising. It's gonna kind of suck because it can't be that far from Honey Pop being done, and that time slot is going away. The Lego time slot never got any views anyways, but I did find a different Pirates of the Caribbean game I could play, so that actually might work better for me.
Right away.
Let's see if I can do 6 more damage.
Cthulhu! Cthulhu! Cthulhu!
Let's see, I don't know if I'm gonna win here. Moving on. Let's see. I wrote some things in blue and some things in black, and the things I wrote in black are the least important, but also the most jumping out to my eyes. Let's start with just the Nintendo news, I suppose. The Nintendo Switch, for apparently the first time, is running on FreeBSD kernel, a heavily modified FreeBSD kernel, which is kind of cool. I don't know if it really
Can I light your fire?
means too much though, other than the fact that yes, if you could get an exploit to hack it, which you can already do some kind of exploits to get elevated privileges on the Switch, then I guess you can from that base try to modify it to a different style of FreeBSD. I recently tried FreeNAS, which was a FreeBSD or a BSD kernel of some sort. Maybe it wasn't FreeBSD. And honestly, one of the major problems there was the fact that BSD was lacking in just programs designed to run on BSD, and its setup, well, on FreeNAS may be completely different than other setups, so I don't know, but it's missing some things that you would have on Linux, and its license is not compatible with Linux. BSD is kind of the split of
I can wait and fish all day.
it's a philosophical split basically between Linux and BSD people, and the licenses don't agree. I think BSD is more of a business oriented thing, so you don't have to use proprietary. You can have proprietary things in BSD, and there's and you can make modifications and have more of a legal standing, and that's kind of why I would imagine we see more BSD things. Well, I'm gonna lose here, but that doesn't really even matter. However, the problem with it being BSD, well, there's really no problem, but it doesn't really help anything, because the Nintendo Switch in itself is just not a good tablet. One of the basic things that I was thinking about the Nintendo Switch is the fact you can't even turn it upside down and the screen rotates. A lot of people are complaining about the USB-C plug being on the bottom, and if you set the kickstand and put it on a counter, then you can't charge it, and so then you've got to either buy a special stand or 3D print a special stand to allow that there to be a slot or a hole where you can plug up a charger and have it still sitting on the table. Any other tablet, you could just rotate it 180 degrees, and then the plug would be on the top and the screen would rotate. But they won't allow you to do that, at least for now, because when you're playing it not on a table, you can only lock in the controllers in one way, and I bet they very specifically don't want you to try to take those Joy-Con controllers and cram them in on the sides the wrong direction. Which is kind of a silly thing, but a very Nintendo thing. And how is that gonna connect? Oh yeah, what I was saying there is I'm really ragged today. Barely awake at 5 in the afternoon. It's not a good tablet. The screen scratches on the Switch. It's a cheap plastic screen instead of a glass. You need to immediately put a screen on it. It doesn't have any kind of ports that you might want, but with USB-C that probably isn't too bad of an issue. But just being able to put a proprietary cartridge in and then having moderately small amounts of internal memory and still being very expensive, and then having the side Joy-Cons and having a very poor battery life. The Tegra processor idea does make sense. If there was a tablet with an NVIDIA Tegra a processor in it and it was a little bit more modifiable, that would be interesting. But even on that element, it is actively cooled, so there's an actual fan in it, and I don't want that in a tablet. It's not very sleek or smooth. The edges aren't really tapered. It's light enough from what I hear, but it's just not the tablet that I would want to hack to have something. And then the fact that it runs BSD means it doesn't inherently out of the box run Android, and so it's a secondary issue. Let's hit this.
So fun.
And then play this.
We have many secrets.
And then end the turn. So moving on with Switch news, the Switch will show you your gameplay time 10 days later.
Today,
I have no idea why. I mean, it just sounds like terrible programming or terrible setup, really. I really can't imagine any other reason why it would take 10 days, unless it is just that the Switch itself doesn't even upload your playtime until 10 days after, which that would be kind of ridiculous. And then the third Nintendo piece of news is Nintendo has come out with a statement saying they're investigating the Joy-Con desync issue. And however, they're denying any massive problem, which is kind of ridiculous. But okay, maybe the news is just playing it up, and maybe it really isn't a massive problem by Nintendo standards. So I'll hold judgment there. So, well, we're almost at 30 minutes. Let's just go through these line by line then. Oculus has been cleared of yet another lawsuit, this time from Total Recall Technologies. They apparently, if I remember correctly, their lawsuit was pretty weak, and it's not surprising that it got canceled, or it didn't make it anywhere. I don't know just go ahead and end the turn. Everybody was really trying to sue Oculus, and Oculus was trying to sue a few other people back. A lot of it seems to be people trying to make money from the fact that Oculus was bought for a lot of money by Facebook, but also I think a lot of it comes down to just Palmer Luckey. He's just, I think, a divisive person who is probably doing a little bit to bring this on themselves. 5. Do I want to do this?
Jade Serpent guide you.
Seriously.
I'll get it.
That wasn't even the right card to play. I should have played a battle cry card. A Swedish politician is streaming Hearthstone because that's where the people are. I can almost get that, because in Sweden I bet there's only a handful of countries, no, not countries, but a handful of cities, and then there's probably a lot of people on farms and stuff, and so I bet a lot of the youth do just spend a lot of time in such a cold country inside playing Hearthstone and other games, and he probably just likes playing Hearthstone. And in the statement he said, well, a lot of politicians just go to grocery stores and talk about the price of groceries, and it's like, oh well, it's not like in the United States where you just have press conferences and you can talk to 24-hour news channels. I bet there's only one 24-hour news channel, if even that, in Sweden, and he probably does some of that too. So actually communicating with your constituents is actually a good idea, and heck, I do it, so I can't blame the Swedish politician for doing it, can I? I wonder if he's better than me. I wouldn't be surprised if anybody's better than me. Oh, one of the things I wanted to mention, and I've started saying this and forgot. The Tavern Brawl, Heroic Tavern Brawl that costs $10 or 1,000 gold is actually a booby trap. I just, Crippen explained this to me, and his entire audience, of course, not me directly, but the idea is they release them right before an expansion, so you drain out all your gold, so you can't buy card packs with actual gold. You have to buy it with actual money. So it's just a greedy trap, and I didn't even realize that. But yeah, he's totally right. The last time we had a Heroic Tavern Brawl, it was just a few weeks at most before the previous expansion. And here we are about to have the next expansion, and they had another Heroic Tavern Brawl. Anywho, we are done with this recording. I've been a total mess in this recording. Bouncing all around the wall, just stuttering and muttering, and, well, not really stuttering or muttering, but ranting and staying off topic. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.